We are going to be exploring a classic puzzle in computer science called the Towers of Hanoi. A little bit of history about this puzzle. It originates from an ancient Hindu temple where priests were tasked with moving 64 golden discs from one rod to another in order to enhance their mental discipline. In 1883, French mathematician Edward Lucas formalized this puzzle, and since then it's become an important part of computer science education. Now, the puzzle itself consists of 3 rods and a number of discs of different sizes. At the start, all discs are stacked on the first rod in order of decreasing size, with the largest disc at the bottom and the smallest at the top. The objective is to move the entire stack of discs from the first rod to the last rod. However, there are 3 rules. The first is that you can only move one disc at a time. Second, only the top disc at any rod is accessible for moving. The third rule is that a larger disc cannot be placed on top of a smaller disc. The primary strategy here is if we wanted to move n discs from this rod to this rod, we must first move n minus 1 discs from this rod to this rod, and then we can move the largest disc to the target rod, and then repeat the process, but make the middle rod the source rod, and the starting rod the intermediate rod. So I can sort of demonstrate what I mean by that here. So we want to move 3 discs from the start rod to this end rod. So in order to do that, we need to move 2 discs, because n minus 1 it would be 2, to this intermediate rod. And so then this becomes our source rod, and this becomes our target rod for the 2 discs. So we need to move n minus 1 discs, which is one disc, into this new intermediate rod, and then move this larger disc to the intermediate rod for the n equals 2 case, and then move this small rod back, or small disc. Now we can move this large disc to the target rod, and then repeat the process, but with this rod being the source rod, and this rod being the target rod. So we do that by moving n minus 1 discs to the intermediate rod, and then in this form we can complete the puzzle by moving the largest disc to the target rod, and then moving the final disc to the target rod.
This Towers of Hanoi script begins by setting up key constants and variables to configure the game. The constants define the number of discs, the dimensions of the pegs, and their positions on the screen, as well as the visual properties such as the colors of the discs. Next, application state variables manage the game status, including the arrangement of discs on the pegs, which disc and peg are currently selected by the user, and whether the auto-solve mode is active. Additionally, the move list and current move index track the sequence of moves needed to solve the puzzle, which are used during the automatic solution process. The drawing functions define how the game is visually presented. The draw peg function handles the display of individual pegs, while draw disk renders each disk with optional highlighting for user interaction. The draw tower function combines these elements, clearing the screen and drawing the entire structure of the game, including all pegs and disks. It calculates the position and size of each disk dynamically based on its number and the peg it is on, ensuring the graphical representation stays synchronized with the game's state. The core of the game's logic lies in the recursive function, recursive Hanoi. This function implements the classic Towers of Hanoi algorithm to solve the puzzle while breaking it into smaller subproblems. If only one disk remains, it is moved directly from the source peg to the destination peg. Otherwise, the function first moves the top n-1 disks to a helper peg, then moves the largest disk to the destination peg, and finally transfers the smaller disks from the helper peg to the destination peg. This process is central to generating the sequence of moves required to solve the puzzle. User interaction is handled through on-mouse press and on-key press functions. The on-mouse press function allows players to select and move disks between pegs by clicking on them. It checks whether a move is valid before updating the game state and redrawing the tower. The on-key press function responds to specific keyboard inputs. Pressing S initiates the auto-solve mode by resetting the game and computing the solution using the recursive function, while pressing N steps through the solution one move at a time. Finally, the onStep function checks for the win condition by verifying if all the disks have been moved to a third peg. If the condition is met, the game signals completion. Together, these functions and structures create an interactive, visually engaging Towers of Hanoi game that can be played manually or solved automatically.
In order to solve the Towers of Hanoi problem, we can consider thinking about the problem recursively. In other words, we can try breaking up the problem into smaller parts. If there's only one disk, then we can just move the disk from the first peg to the last one. The other case is if we have more than one disk. Let's say n is the number of disks that we need to move, and A, B, and C are the names of the pegs from left to right. It'll be useful to remember our original problem. We're trying to move the disks from one peg to any other peg. So, if we apply our recursion, then we can move n-1 disks from one peg to another using our original problem. The way we can solve this problem then is that we can first move the top n-1 disks from peg A to peg P, using peg C as our auxiliary peg. We can do this recursively so that we can call our original subproblem to do this. Once we've moved the n-1 disks, then we can move our largest disk from peg A to peg C. This is basically our base case since we're just moving our nth disk over. Then, we can use recursion again to move the n-1 disks from peg B to peg C. Now, all of our disks should be on peg C, which is what we wanted. So, looking at the code here, we can see that this is basically what our recursive Hanoi function should be doing. In our recursive case, we call our function on n-1 to move our disks from peg A to peg B. Then we move our biggest disk, or our nth disk, from peg A to peg C. And then after that, we're basically done. We just call our function again, where we move the remaining disks from peg B to peg C.
Now that we have an overview of the problem, the pseudocode, and the recursive solution, we can take a look at the actual code. We already saw the variables used to set up the code, so we can take a look at the implementations of each function. The drawPeg function simply draws the vertical lines that represent each peg based on their x and y positions. The drawDisk function uses one rect and two circles to draw each ends of the disk using the circles and the rect in the middle, where the fill color is either set to the corresponding disk color in this list, or it's set to white if the disk is selected. The drawTower function redraws all of the shapes in the canvas. This includes the lavender background, the title, the base of the pegs, and iterates over the peg positions and draws each of the vertical pegs. Then, it iterates over the app.pegs variable to draw each of the disks. Remember that app.pegs is a 2D list. We initialize it here where it contains 3 different lists, one for each peg. Each list contains numbers corresponding to each disk on that specific peg. 0 corresponds to the biggest disk at the bottom, 1 is the second biggest, so on and so forth. So we iterate over app.pegs over here, but we also have to iterate over each sublist using this for loop, where we can use that to draw each of the individual disks as well. Now, before we get to the recursive function, let's finish taking a look at the code used to draw the puzzle. The onMousePress function handles users interacting with the canvas. So the first thing that we have to do is check that we are not in the autosolve mode using this conditional. The first set of if, elif, and else statements allow us to use the mouse x and mouse y coordinates to identify which peg we want to click on. Depending on where we click, we update the app.selectedPeg variable to match that. If this is our first click and we haven't already selected a disk, we enter this first part of the conditional. We first want to check that the selected peg is not empty and contains at least one disk. If that's true, then we set the app.selected disk to the topmost disk of the selected peg, and we redraw the tower accordingly. If we already have a disk selected, then we must be placing a disk. So the first thing that we need to do is check that the move is valid using this conditional. We can do that by either checking that the peg that is selected is either empty or that the selected disk is smaller than the topmost disk of the selected peg. If that move is valid, then we want to update app.pegs accordingly reset our selected disk and peg variables, and finally redraw the tower. If the move that we just made is not valid, then we just want to reset our selected disk and peg variables and redraw the tower. Let's take a look at the autosolve step function. The way that the autosolver works is by iterating through app.moveList. App.moveList contains a list of tuples of the form from peg and to peg. The function iterates through the move list, updating the app.pegs variable accordingly and redrawing the tower for every move. The onKeyPress function handles the autosolve feature. If we press the S key initially, we initialize the solve mode, as well as reset all of the variables for the puzzle. We also call the recursive Hanoi function to load the moves to solve the puzzle into the app.moveList. By pressing the N key, we can call the autosolve function so that we can step through it every time we press N. Finally, the onStep function checks that the game state is solved or not solved at each time step. We do this using this conditional, where we check that the length of app.pegs2, which is this peg over here, is equal to the number of disks. If it is, then we replace the title with the "You Win" label. Since our code to draw and set up the puzzle is finally in place, we can actually run it and click around to try it for ourselves. Now that we have all of our code in place, let's finally write the recursive solution. The recursive Hanoi function takes in 5 variables: n, the number of disks, the location of the starting peg, the location of the target peg, the location of the auxiliary peg or the helper peg, and the move list that we want to update our moves to. The base case for this function occurs when there is only one disk that we want to move directly from the initial peg to the target peg. Otherwise, we want to move the top n-1 disks from the initial peg to the helper peg using the auxiliary peg being the to peg, and then finally move those same n-1 disks from the helper peg to the target peg using the from peg as the auxiliary. The move that transfers the largest disk directly from the from peg to the to peg must happen after moving the n-1 disks to the helper peg, which is the first recursive call, but before moving those n-1 disks from the helper peg to the target peg, which is the second recursive call. So by placing the move list append call between these two recursive calls, we can ensure the sequence is preserved and maintain the logical order of the Towers of Hanoi solution. And that's all there is to it. If you want to reduce the number of disks in the puzzle to understand it better, you can do so by changing this variable in the first line of code. Or if you just want to tinker around with the code in general, the code to run this file in the Sandbox is linked in the description below. Thanks for watching.